to do a job. Danny and I are doing a rehab work job on some mine site like exploration drill pads, and we're set up to do a live stream on that, so we can explain what the rehab work actually is and what we're aiming to achieve. But I was driving along on the way out, making sure Danny knows where we're heading, and I was just chatting on the phone because very fortunately I've just been approved for the new rifle. So that's going to be awesome to be able to get that in the next week or so once the work comes through. I came across a small group of about 5 camels, and I've got the speed line with me. We can't do any live streams that involves shooting because it's against the community guidelines and we'll get banned from YouTube for a little while. So pulled out the speed line, had that fresh new magazine from Australian sporting agencies, which came very quickly, and it was really great of them to support and back up their products. And I was running the ADI ammo, 0 stoppages, system ran really well. And yeah, popped the bipod out, had the rifle, good to go. So I've only got a limit here. I can only go out maybe 100 meters from the LV to sort of show you, but the beauty of having a rifle that's cycling well and fast is being able to drop camels in a short group like that. So just got two fellas there, we're actually girls. Now, it's been an extremely good year out here, and it's coming into a dry summer. Out in the desert, the camels have been going pretty well. We've got a lot of young ones. These 2 camels here are pregnant, and they are just about to start thinking about dropping a calf, which means there's going to be more camels to shoot. But over in the distance, out another 120, 130 meters, we've got a camel that's about a year old, a older one, and then another young camel. So the breakdown on this mob was two young females, 2 old females, and a bull camel. He's just a little bit further out, so definitely can't get to him. But they were quickly dispatched with that nice cycling system. But while we're here and we're looking at the camels, and I'm not going to be able to show cutting it up on the live stream, we'll do it on the video that will be up in a little while. But I've gone around, I've sliced the throats to bleed them out a bit, and I'm going to take a couple of back straps. Now I've only got a 40-litre angle, and I've got iced coffee in there. So there's a little bit of a limit to how much I can actually punch into it. But we're going to grab as much steak as I can and get that home, hang it up in the cool room, probably make a few steaks and potentially some biltong as well. So just going to flip this around and give you the scene, if I can. So we've got those 2 fellas, and I can actually see what everyone's saying. So yeah, great work. Camel, the areas that you can eat, you've got a rump steak that you can take out. You can take some off the shoulder. They take a lot of the neck strap for the pet meat. And then what we primarily take is the back strap, which we make an incision here, run a blade along, open it up, and you can just take a nice piece of meat out of there. So each one will yield around 3.5 to 4 kilos on each side, and that's only taking the prime cut out of them. So yeah, the difficulty at the moment, and I'm going to have to wrap up quickly, is because of the flies, we only have a very short window to harvest the meat for them, which when you're doing a pet meat operation, you can only really process 8 in an hour. You're looking at about 20 minutes per animal. You're looking about 20 minutes per animal to get the maximum off them. And when you're doing it for pet meat, you don't want to waste anything. But at the moment, it's not viable to harvest it. So we are grabbing as much meat as we can, and unfortunately, we have to do and resort to the pop and rot method. Now, I've got the vehicle here. So once I've taken the steaks off all of these camels, what I'll be doing is dragging them into a convenient pile somewhere over there, so that when they've dried out enough, we'll be able to burn them, which means that they aren't going to become too much of a problem for, say, transfer of disease for animals chewing on the bones. And it's not that the camels are dirty or have any disease. They don't even eat or we don't have endemic to the area, the plant which has been known to cause toxicity in dogs, which is the indospicin or indoflora. So our main thing on the camels, and if people say, no, you can't feed it to dogs because it's got poison in it, if we're dropping somewhere around 750 camels a year, why would we have feral dogs? Which is really kind of a strong question. So yeah, it's a nice day. We're sitting at about 36 degrees. It's going to warm up later on, but that's just how it is. So I've got a few moments that if there was any questions. Yeah, it's actually not a very dark meat. I generally refer to it as light and fluffy meat because once you've bled them, and these ones have sort of done a lot of internal bleeding, the meat comes out quite light, and physically it feels very light. And yeah, I mean, the trusty cruiser with Starlink, which is quite handy for being able to do this because we've got no cell signal, no other sort of connectivity out here. And it seems to be going pretty well, even with this wind and a few disruptions we've had with the service lately. So I'll be able to stay on for the next probably minute if anyone has any questions they want to ask now. And to address a lot of the questions that have come up about why don't you have semi-automatics, why don't you use an M1A or a AR10 or anything, we're not permitted them here in Western Australia because there's no genuine need for them, and that's just the way that the legislation's written. We've received a lot of support from our police services here in regards to understanding the problem and being able to support us to actually get the job that we need to do done. We have got a video coming out tonight that's not involving shooting, and it's the start of a bit of a celebrity series, because we had an Australian celebrity out here at the station for a week, and he's a bloody legend. So yeah. To get into doing this sort of job, there are a couple of commercial pet meat operators that are around, but generally guys like who work in those teams, they don't really invite other people into doing the shooting. And there's a couple of conservation groups around, a couple of conservation groups that do organise and arrange support for pastoralists that don't have the equipment or the ability / time to go out and control their ferals. And so you'd be looking at groups like the SSA, a Farmer Assist program, which is sort of a little bit defunct, but the guys are still around. And then you've got groups like Conservation Australia who operate in the region as well. And no, I haven't actually really seen much in terms of the dogs eating the camels. We have actually observed camels being chased by the dogs, which we reckon they do mainly for sport, which is just fun. To see a dog chasing a camel, you sort of think, what are you going to do, bite his ankles? But yeah, that's something we've observed from the air, and it's kind of amazing to see. We did briefly touch on where I'm from and how I got into the industry in a video that went up last night, where we came across a couple of donkeys on our way up to a barbecue at our neighbouring station. But in a very quick rundown, Originally, I'm from a farm down in Esperance. I grew up in Perth, going to the farm over school holidays and stuff. Did a bit of time, then also, not time in prison, at uni, and then I left uni, went back to the farm, then went into precision ag. I was in Ballarat for a while, and we had previously looked at this property back in 2012, and then we purchased it, and I got asked if I wanted to come back and be involved in the handover and takeover process of the property. And so I've been out here doing this for about 8 years. Yeah, no, it wasn't prison. I realised the phrasing there. I was leading into saying that I'd done some time with the Australian Army Reserves while I was at uni. Trapping and hunting dogs is a little bit of a contentious subject. We generally don't trap, we use strategic baiting programs, and then there's opportunistic shooting. What we do is some targeted trapping, and so what we'll do is if we've got the visual data off our camera network, we'll be able to identify that we've got an individual, and then we'll make a plan to get those dogs, take out that particular dog. Yeah, we do eat the camel, and no, I do not reload my ammo for the 308 or the 223. Some of our other rounds, I do collect my brass and reload it because that's more of a precision ammo. This is effectively what Dad would like to call chaff. It's the stuff that gets out and gets the job done. So I do collect my brass for a couple of mates, and they do reload it. But it's PPU and it doesn't have the best reputation in the industry for cycling in a lot of different systems. So I'm just going to have to, look at this. Yeah, absolutely. The camel meat is actually quite nice because they have a very wide grazing range. They can graze high and low, and so it's a little bit more of a diverse diet that they have rather than our cattle, which are very picky, who go for the saltbush and a lot of the grasses, and then they get into mulga as they start to, run out of other stuff. Yeah, and yeah, in a week we'll see a lot more than we do shoot because we're flying, and so we've got that over the top view. So, it's not uncommon to sort of see about 40 or 50 a week. But we don't always get them. We don't always do dedicated cull programs because we've got other jobs that we've got to do. With the PPU ammo being cheap and not reliable, I have a video that's coming out where I go for a shot on a camel and it lands at its foot, which really speaks words to it. And g'day Pete, it's good to see you there. The horses and donkeys, they get burnt and dragged into piles. There has been some donkey harvested for pet meat because it's hypoallergenic, same with the horses, but it's not really don't have the scale because we ran a very dedicated eradication program on the horses, and we've removed a bit over 4,000 horses from the system here. And we could use 12 gauge slugs. They've got a range of around 100 meters. They hit like a musket. The only issue that I have with that is just the amount of ammo that you can carry on yourself. And as you've seen a bit of it, I do a reasonable amount of on the ground work where I'll walk and work my way through a mob, and I go for eradicating the whole mob if I can, and I'll aggressively pursue them to make sure that I get that job done. And it's one of those ones. I had a rifled slug shotgun, so a Mossberg that was on order for up to 18 months, but then the importer could no longer bring them into Australia. So that was a little unfortunate, and that's why I've now got a new rifle, an Australian made pump action, which I've just been approved for, and I'm going to be excited to test out over the coming weeks. So we are, yeah, I've used a 30-06 on them and it's gone pretty well. And my brother's got a 30-06, which he's used effectively on a lot of the Camels, as well as the 303, because I've never seen anything as good as a 303 on the Camels, just for the sheer weight of the projectile and the fact that they're effectively designed for dismounting cavalry back in the day. Right, and the Camels will come from hundreds, if not 1,000 kilometres out to our east. So I'm going to have to get onto this meat before it becomes a bit frustrating to deal with, and I've got the angle ready to go and jobs to do. So thanks everyone for joining us on this little almost teaser on more camel meat, and I will see you guys later if we do the live stream on the rehab work. But yeah, we're ticking along nicely. Thanks everyone for your support and helping the channel grow. We've done pretty well. I think we've just clicked over 16,000 subscribers, which is just amazing, and I'm glad that we're able to share not only this part of what we do, because we're not just a shooting channel, we are a station, so you get to see all the different aspects of life and the work out here, out the back. Thanks everyone.